Okay, so I'm still working on Boba Fett, and you can see I've got this basically shaded in, and I'm starting to add some of the details and a little more detail in the shadow. So another trick that you can use that I was taught is that if you're working on a drawing, what you want to do is sort of squint at your subject or reference matter and notice the darkest areas and notice the proportions between them and notice just sort of what they are. So if we use this reference photo as an example, we can see that the darkest areas are going to be here in the visor, but also there's this sort of inset part of the helmet. So you can see on my drawing, the values are not quite the same. So that's something that I want to sort of keep in mind and keep adding those darker values to this part because that's going to help sort of sell the drawing. And in this specific case, the other thing that is going to really help are these sort of dings and dents in the helmet. And we can definitely render those. If you notice right here, I have a really light area at the top because on here it looks like something hit it. Whatever, it's a different color, it's lighter. So I can sort of leave that a little unshaded and maybe add some just sort of sections of shadow in there, right? And even just that is sort of suggestive of something happened there, right? So there's a lot of little sort of details like that in the helmet that I'm probably going to work on as the last thing. So I'm going to shade in all these values and then I'm going to go back and actually erase part of it so it looks like it was dinged up. So then after I have everything shaded sort of close to the approximate value that I want it to be, that's when I go back and start adding, these sort of little details. And I really didn't color in most of this, I just picked up graphite from this middle section. And if that starts to get too light, I can just go back in with the pencil and darken it up. And I think that this is still not dark enough. So I'm going to come in here and really sort of color that. And then blend it out. Right, so then we can notice too that with some of these dings, they are darker than the section that they're on. Right, so we can just sort of do something even that simple, right? And that's going to be sort of how I render the wear and tear. But you can see if you start doing this all over the whole helmet, that it's going to start to work. It's going to look like a realistic rendering of part of the damage of that. Right, so this is basically what I'm going to keep working on until I'm happy with it. And then I'm going to add the watercolor last.